Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Fan Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 7th and 8th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish, they're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to Kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kelber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday nights as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. Welcome to Silverline Silver Sunday. This December the 8th, 2024. We are speeding through 24. I am your host. I am Roland Mann, and I'm joined, as usual, by Mr. Mike W. Belcher, that man in the mask guy. Say hi, Mike.
Good evening, everyone.
And also joined by, you may be right about that. I don't see it. And also joined by the weatherman, Mr. Tom Mason.
Hey everybody! You know when we're divided up and it's just the three of us, we sort of look like a Frank Miller triptych.
Ooh, yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it live on Facebook either.
Oh,
yeah, that's from 4 days ago. The last one was on there.
Yeah, I see that. I shared the wrong one, didn't I?
Rolling.
Yeah.
Need a teenager to help you set this up?
No, I'm just trying to figure out why we're not there. Oh well, we've got a whole gaggle of folks watching us anyway already. So hello everyone. And none of them are on Facebook. So let's see here. I don't know why I have that message, but Madness says, Pops, hey Pops, what's up? Says if you would like to bring your show to or become a sponsor of the Madness Entertainment Group LLC, please contact us at the Madness Comic on X, Pops Van Zant on Facebook, Pops at themeg.tv. Pops will take good care of you. He takes good care of us, and he will make sure that you get your word out, whatever that is you want. I don't have it up, but if you will go to silverlinecomicscrowdfunder.com, you will see this. It has 9 days left. It's last I saw is right at the halfway mark. But you guys look at this beautiful foil cover. This is just
shiny.
Yeah, shiny, gorgeous foil cover. done by, of course, our pals over at Kablam. They do fantastic work. This is the only way you can get this foil cover. You'll still be able to get the issue, right? But the only way you can get this foil cover is to back this campaign. Go to silverlinecomicscrowdfunder.com. You got 9 days left. These make great after Christmas gifts. What? You've never heard of a Christmas gift? That's the gift that you give someone that gave you a gift and you forgot to give them one.
Yes.
And so you're like, oh no, they gave me one, but I have to give them one because I didn't get them any. And you go, that's when you say, yours is on the way. I just didn't come in yet. And you won't be lying then, because this will not ship by Christmas.
Supply issues.
That's right. Supply issues.
The supply chain is broken.
That's right. It's on a boat out in the Pacific somewhere.
Also, it's good if you might have got some money for Christmas.
That's right.
And,
Absolutely.
You're looking to spend a little of it.
Absolutely. So we are not joined by Tommy and Roberta. Roberta is under the weather. Tommy didn't say. I think Tommy's probably playing.
Is it Disney World?
I would guess. That's my guess. He didn't say, but I'm going to guess it's a Disney World thing. So we hope that, Roberta, if you're listening, we hope that you feel better. Join us when you get better, hopefully next week. And Tommy.
I hope the "It's a Small World" song gets stuck in his head for days.
Oh man! Oh, have I told you my horror story about that thing? Oh my gosh, we were on that ride, and it was when we were with my sister-in-law, who's 18 years younger than my wife, right? So she was pretty young. I don't remember exactly how old she was. So this was a long time ago. The boat got stuck, and that song played over and over and over. We were there for an hour yelling, please stop the song. Everybody in our boat, everybody in the boat behind us and everything, please stop the music. Stop the song.
Mercy.
Oh, finally, someone opened one of their little secret doors, got us out of the boats, and we went, through the ride to get out. But the boats got stuck, and that song played continuously. And oh my gosh, that led to my hatred for that song for many, 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 many years.
I would say that you don't even have to get stuck in the boat to hate that song.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think you.
Maybe not. I didn't hate it before then.
Oh well, you still remember though?
Oh my gosh!
Burned.
Yes, that was horrible. Yeah, that was terrible. So that's pretty much it for my news. Let's see. In Diamond, I don't have that window open up either.
You okay, Roland?
I am okay. It's been one of those days.
You want to talk about it?
I think Twilight Grim number 4 is what's in the catalog right now. So,
the last issue.
Yeah, it might be number 3.
The penultimate issue.
Yeah. So anyway, you can just, you know what? If you order your comics through your comic shop, go to your catalog and look for Silverline. You'll find the issue there. Go order it. Go buy it. Go support it.
We're in the S's.
We're in the S's. That's right. We're not hard to find at all. So yeah, go over there and support us. Tell your comic shop owner that you want one, and have him order another one, because you can tell him you're so confident that someone else is going to come pick up that other one, and for him to stick that on the shelf. So help us get the word out. That's it for me. You guys got anything?
I do.
What you got, Tom?
I would like to report that Silverline Comics now has its own Blue Sky account, and you can follow us. You can follow us on Blue Sky, and if you you'll be rewarded with rare views of pencils and in production work and a bunch of cool stuff like that.
Cool. So nice.
We'll be posting something every day, so you'll be rewarded with some sort of little deal. So go follow us.
It's not difficult to find. Just look up Silverline Comics .bsky.social.
And there we are.
And there we
There's
are. That's right.
Our first post is up already.
And that looks like some pretty gorgeous Dean Zachary pencils.
That's a great splash page.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Mike, you got anything?
Since Hyper Potato's not here yet, remember to like and share what we're doing right now, because
there we go.
And hit that little bell. Hit the little bell so you'll be
That's right.
notified when we're on here. So
we haven't seen Hyper Potato in a couple weeks.
Not in a while. He's probably out Christmas shopping.
On a Sunday evening.
Well, I don't really know.
Where
I know that
Potato shop.
I know that his wife has him do, tells him to do stuff, and he jumps.
As any smart man would.
As any, right? That's right.
Is that the key to a strong marriage?
That is. Yeah. Also, if you're listening to us on X or Twitter here, share it out. Share it out and tell folks to come over and listen to us, because I'm sure before the night's over, I will probably stick my foot in my mouth. Tom will probably say something witty, and Mike will probably smile just like that.
I'll give you the eyebrow.
So,
but also, I could say something that would get me in trouble.
You might, you know what? There's a pretty good chance of that too. I think that ought to be not that I'm advocating this, but I think there ought to be a Silverline drinking game, right?
Ooh.
You watch the show, and anytime Tom says something that could get him in trouble, you got to take a drink.
That's right. Don't cancel me. Just drink.
Just drink. That's right.
Okay.
No cancels. Just drink. All right. So I'm looking around my desk, which is kind of messy, and I don't see any other news. So our topic for tonight is comics and weather. Now, my initial thought, these guys over here, these guys always take my topic and go in a different direction than what I had intended, but I think it works as well. My original intent was to talk about weather in the stories, right? When you read a comic, and of course, then they took off, and I can't remember if it was the private chatter last week. I started naming all these weather characters, which is fine. I'm okay with that. But think about comics that you read. One of the things about comics is that you see it, right? You can't hear it, you can't smell it.
Right.
You can't feel it. You don't have those senses. And so part of what we have to do as storytellers is to get that communicated to the reader. And one of the cool things about that page you posted on Blue Sky there, Tom, is that in that initial scene, and you can see it if you look at the pencils along the bottom, you can see the mud there that the characters are splashing. When I wrote the story, I just said it was at night, right? I didn't have the rain. I didn't have the mud or anything. And this was a Dean Zachary idea. He said, can it be raining? And my first thought was like, well, it's New Orleans. It probably is raining anyway. Right. And I was like, sure. Why? Because, I like to know why. And he goes, because I want to draw rain because it's cool.
There you go.
And I said, well, yeah, make it happen. And so that first fight takes place in the rain. And of course, Dean, adds all the cool. You see water dripping down characters, and of course, you mud and stuff they're playing. They're not playing in; they're fighting in. But well, there's a name I haven't seen in a while. Rory Royal Airships says Dean is the man. Indeed,
I just sent you the page on Facebook if you want to go maybe post the Dean page.
Okay. You posted or put it up here, you mean?
I couldn't put it in the comments, so I sent it on the Facebook to the.
Well, you know what I can do? You know what I can do? I can just share the Blue Sky page so people can see it. So there you go. There it is. You can see all my tabs I have open.
That's
yeah. So
you might want to rethink that before you.
I know, right? What do I have? Okay, I'm safe. Everything's safe.
Right.
So yeah. So there's the Dean page, right? Look at all this. Drew all this mud down here and all this water. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. When you write something, sometimes the artist says, "Look, can I have this in the snow? Can I have this in the rain? Can I have this in the mud? Can I have this, wherever?" Because it would be cool.
Yes.
And that kind of stuff it adds to the visual.
Yes, it does. Oh, we're a different way now. So the other cool thing, and Roberta's not here, so she can't talk about this. But in the opening scene of Silverline Team Up, there when she first started coloring it, right? So there's all this. See this opening scene here. She colored all that as fire embers, right?
Right.
Because there's the opening scene is a fire, and we didn't communicate to Roberta that, oh, by the way, it's snowing there, right? And when I think it was during one of our streams even, Tommy said, "That's not fire, that's snow," and she said, "Oh, it is." So she had to go back and change these little flecks here into snowflakes. So that was, and then she asked me. She said, "Can you go in and make notes about?" Because she asked for the script, which I absolutely don't mind at all. She asked me, "Can you make notes on time of day?" And I'm like, "Yes, I can do that."
Yeah, well, I think because I think for comic book writers, especially given the time of day for the scene, is helpful both for the artist and also for the colorist.
Yes.
So,
it is.
And also for the letterer too, if the letterer wants to do something cool,
yeah,
based on weather effects.
Well, one of the things we talk about, and of course, the thing about it is, I try to. The funny thing about it is, I try to do that in my scripts anyway, but for some reason I didn't do that. I don't know if it's because Dean and I had talked about the story so much that I just kind of was like, okay, he knows this, right? And then when Roberta read it, she's like, can you put that in there anytime? And I'm like, yeah, I can. Why was it not in there? Right. If I was a teacher, I would have marked myself, big red marks on there. Why don't you have this on there?
Because movie screenplays and TV screenplays always have the time of day and the slug line.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense to carry over into comics.
It does. Yeah.
So learn your lesson, Roland.
I did. But shoot, I was going to say something else. Oh yeah. So the thing about time of day, right, is and this is something that Dean and I talked about back then, is like, there's a big difference when the sun is straight up noon and when the sun is at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. sun cast a really long shadow, as does 8 p.m. Sun, but high noon sun, the shadows go straight down. So that's something that can be kind of communicated in the artwork, visually reinforced. You want to have this is one of the things I hate about a lot of modern. You open it up and you start reading it. You have no idea. There's not a caption there that tells you where you're at. There's not a caption there that tells you when you are. You just start looking at it and you're like, I don't know where this is. I don't know when this is. And you just have to guess at stuff, There's a cactus. Okay, cool. I'm in a desert, I guess.
Maybe it's Arizona, maybe it's New Mexico, maybe it's
right.
I don't know. Maybe it's Mexico itself.
Maybe it's Mexico. Yeah, there's a lot of places, and so I don't know why a lot of modern writers don't like to do that these days. I don't have that answer. You guys have that answer?
They take it for granted. I think they much rather come up with some witty dialogue. They're more focused on making some kind of weird dialogue choice or whatever. They don't care about.
And I think
really gets you in there.
I've been on forums before where some writers, certainly not all of them, but some writers think it's the reader's job to sort of play catch up. Yeah. And I think there's a balance between the writer giving either too much or not enough information, and the reader being able to, because it shouldn't be a puzzle.
No.
Certain aspects of the narrative should not be a puzzle. The story can be a puzzle, or the characters can be a puzzle, but my location, my setting, my time, or whatever shouldn't be a puzzle that I have to figure out. I should be able to know right there, because that's the advantage of doing it in comics is you have the
Visual.
art, you have the coloring, you have the mood set by the writing. You should know where you are.
Yeah.
Because if I'm reading a comic book and I don't know where I am, then I'm not really paying attention to the characters. I'm not really paying enough attention to the story because I'm trying to figure out, is that Spain?
Right.
Is that Spain, or is that small town in Kansas?
Right.
Or is it a different planet?
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things in Mike's work, Man in the Mask, you can tell from the architecture of the town where you are.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You shouldn't make the reader guess.
Yeah. And I don't have to know. Sorry, I'm gonna continue.
No. Go ahead.
I don't have to know if it's 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. I don't need to be that specific. And I don't have to know, I don't have to know if it's Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever.
Right.
But I gotta know some stuff.
I do. I need to know. I'm trying to think. I think one of the stories I started in the wee early morning hours. Okay, well, that can mean the three of us might interpret that in a slightly different way, but it doesn't change the story. But then again, I don't have to marry myself to 3 a.m. right, or 4 a.m. or whatever. Right. I just to say we early morning hours. We all can pick an hour, but we know what that means.
Well, I think, and the reader knows too. Like the reader will bring in their own idea of what the wee hours is, and I think that's enough.
Yes.
Unless the story is specifically about 4:32 a.m. on a Tuesday, then you've given them enough.
Well, 4:31 on January 17th, right?
Right.
Yeah. Mike's like, I don't know that date.
But if you're doing it that specific, you need to carry that all throughout the story.
Yes.
There's got to be a point to it. You can't just
That's the Northridge earthquake, Mike.
Okay.
Is that what you have? You have that tattooed on your arm now?
Oh my goodness, it's tattooed in my brain. That's for sure. Yeah, that's I know you know this, Tom, but man, the ground shouldn't move like that. It should not move like that.
Yep. I remember coming in and helping you move.
That's right.
I will say this: I sort of dismiss earthquakes because I lived through a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of shaking, a lot of stuff, and maybe one or two things fell down. But when I saw your place, which is at the epicenter of the Northridge earthquake, I'd never actually seen, I'd seen it in movies and TV shows before, but I'd never actually seen it in person, where it looked like somebody hated you.
Yeah.
And they like your house had been burglarized by 5 guys who just hate Roland, and they threw all of his stuff in a pile.
Yes, they just came in and just everything.
We're gonna teach Roland's apartment a lesson.
Yeah, and some of the things were hard to figure out. It's like I had one of those giant stereo speakers, which I don't have anymore, but I had one of those giant stereo speakers, and it was literally just flipped upside down in the exact same spot. Right. It was like, how does that happen? And I would have seen that. Me too. I would have liked to have seen it as well. And we also had a turkey in or chicken, I don't remember what it was now, in the freezer. It leapt across the kitchen and down like 6 feet and landed in the sink. Chickens will do that. Turkeys will do that. This one was frozen still. So they never forget their roots. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it was interesting. David is the Flash says, Rolling Man. What's up, David is the Flash? Thank you for joining us. We're talking about weather and comics right now. So my question to you guys is this, right? Part of what we can do in our scripts when we talk about the weather in comics, in our scripts, we can say this character's wearing a coat. Or there's snow on the ground, right? What else can we do? Is that enough?
His clothes are drenched. And, there's so much you can convey just by what is the result of the weather. Tracks through the house. Kind of erratic placement of coats. Like I said, the weather affects so much of our interpretation of things.
Yeah,
I'll go even further. I think there's if you people watch during the weather, there's a certain way the certain sort of hunched over way that people walk when it's raining.
Right.
Yes,
and
right.
They walk a certain way as if that's going to help, but we all sort of do it. We all sort of hunch over, and we all try to get rain. We don't want rain going down the back of our coat,
right?
And so there's a posture to us that you want the artist to be able to understand.
Yeah.
That's a sad man. He's had a broken heart.
Yeah, that is. But it's also, of course, raining and snowing here.
It helps with the visual to have him, pulling his coat up, trying to make sense of what's happened to him, and on top of that, he's got the weather to deal with.
Yeah. I thought this was a great page. This work is by Peter Clinton pencils, Thomas Flormonti inks, and of course Roberta on the colors.
Yeah.
And I just thought this was a nice scene. It's the kind of thing when I look at this page, I feel cold.
Right.
I look at it and I just go
because the coloring really accentuates that.
Look. He's even breathing out right here.
Right.
I can't point right.
Yeah.
So when you're cold, right, you breathe out. I don't even know what that's called. Fog. What is that called when you breathe that out?
Yeah, I just see your breath. That's all.
It's
just
your breath
hitting the cold air.
Yeah. So
head steam.
Mouth hole steam.
That's right.
David is the Flash says Whiteout by Greg Rucka and Steve Lieber is a great example of weather influencing story.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that absolutely is. Also, 30 Days of Night.
I was about to say that exact same thing. Yeah.
So it's because weather factors into both of those stories, both Whiteout and actually, I'll say the cliche. It acts as a character.
Yeah, it's cold and remote.
Yeah,
you got the claustrophobia of being stuck in one place.
Yes, and it also limits to what you can do.
Yeah.
So there's, you're not going to have a giant rescue operation in 30 Days of Night or Whiteout because the weather is going to impact. Well, it's the same thing as in the John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
Weather factors in it in the same way.
Yeah, because that's a big blizzard. They're all like up in the North Pole or something like that, aren't
they?
The big blizzard though. They can't go
not
anywhere.
Even Santa's there.
Yeah.
a bunch of dudes and an alien.
Yeah, and they're all trapped in there. Can't get out.
They can't get out.
Yeah. So that's cold, and again, I think that's the certainly the writer's responsibility when you start that, right, is that you have to let the artist know that it's cold. And again, I think using this one, I think Pete did a great job of Champ there when he gets out and goes into his house, and then that last final scene, the rain is the snow is kind of turned into rain as he's like emotionally shook in that last panel.
I also think rain is a sad piece of weather, where snow is not necessarily sad. Rain is definitely sad.
Yeah, light and fluffy snow can be happy, right? Because you can have snow, skating on an ice rink, and Christmas decorations in the back, right? That can be happy snow.
Well, snow doesn't ruin your clothes like rain does.
Yeah, or your makeup.
That's right. and also, it's weird for superhero comics because in the old days of comics, I just assumed they all wore like cotton suits, which would absorb the rain and the snow and be sort of cold in the wind. But with all the different fabrics that have been invented since then, I would assume that it can just wick off the water, not sort of soak in, like skiing clothes do now.
Yeah.
So it's weird. It's almost an exception. Like Batman used to do a Christmas story every year at DC. But it's weird to sort of see a weather-based story in a mainstream Marvel or DC comic these days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of current ones where it's an issue.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's a change in that? Do you have theories?
If they do those stories, they do them as one shots, but then they're also hard to do. So
I also think that stories where snow is an issue that makes it less timeless.
Yeah.
Like this is if it's a snow story, then it's almost always going to be a Christmas story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be what Mike said, which is kind of be like a one-shot thing where it's like, oh, I found a sad kid, and I'm going to humanize everything by giving them a present, and also I'm going to defeat the Green Goblin.
Yeah. Usually in mainstream comics, the weather, and particularly snow, is used to show a catastrophe, or something's not right, because when DC's Final Night, where the sun went out, it was also to show how dark and depressing, and of course Superman had no powers,
right?
And snow was moving in, and it was to show the immediacy of the situation, the direness of the situation. So again, that's weather to also reinforce the plot.
Yeah. Well, so do you think that weather ought to be used more as to communicate mood? Because weather's because you mentioned that, Tom, because weather in prose, particularly in literary prose, is frequently mirrors or foretells some kind of mood change, emotion change in the character story or something like that. Do you think that we ought to utilize that more in comics?
You always find that in prose where a chapter will end and then it started to rain.
Right.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Dark and stormy night, yeah. And one of Elmore Leonard's famous rules for writing is never start off with the weather.
Yeah, right. Never mention the weather unless there's a particular plot point to attach to the weather.
Yeah. I think that I don't just like weather as weather. It's kind of a lazy setting.
Yeah.
Unless you do something with it. Because I'm always the thing. Everything to me is Chekhov's gun. Whereas, like, if you show a gun on page 3 and it's hanging up on the wall, then somebody's going to be shooting that gun.
By golly, you better use it
before the story's over. And I think for weather, like if it's snowing, like if the same thing with like a trapped house mystery.
Mm-hmm.
If all your characters are trapped in the house and there's either a monster or a killer or whatever, then weather is the factor.
Yeah.
So in that instance, the weather becomes a character that keeps everybody trapped. And so I like to see weather as that, as opposed to just saying, oh, I think I'll write a story that takes place in the snow.
Yeah.
Because then you end up with that John Byrne Alpha fighter.
John, yeah, that was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah, where all those word balloons got trapped in the snow.
I tell you got to watch them. When I sent those images to you as examples, it's like I had to put Byrne in there. I had to put some. It's like.
Oh wait, you sent me images? Where'd you send me? Images?
Yeah, I sent you a whole bunch of things, using weather's mood and storytelling.
Yeah,
and I had to make a point to get Burns in there.
I see it now.
Yeah.
Oh crap, Mike! Sorry, I didn't even see that.
No, that's fine. It's like I said, I was just thinking before the show, thinking what are examples, because it's a great part of the story. It's like by showing that, it's like, oh, yeah, that story takes place during wintertime because we all know when snow is. It's visually we get storytelling gets aided by it, because I think that it's like Tom said, unless you're going to use it as a way of keeping people confined, or you're going to use it unless you're also going to use it, somebody's going to get struck by lightning somewhere in the story.
Yeah,
weather in comics is a visual. It helps do things that you don't have to tell in the dialogue or in the exposition. It's just there, and it helps the story move along. And you have so many great things. And like I said, some of these images, I think, were good examples of that, because, again, weather is visual in comics.
Yeah.
It's like right there. I mean, it's everything you need is there.
Look how drippy he is coming in, right? Yeah. He's soaking wet. Look at his hair, how it's just falling over. Yeah.
And that becomes part of the story. You're not just thinking, oh, cool, it's wet spirit. It's the it's part of the whole mood of the thing.
Yeah.
Look at that.
You can see the wet footprints right there.
Yeah.
And
like I said, you got the soul and eyes. He's about to relate, what he's just been through. And like I said, that whole weather it gives you that automatic sense of dread.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a nice image. Look at all that rain.
Yeah. See, that's contract with God. That evokes, when looking at that, this guy is pretty much at his wit's end. I mean, there's such a visual to that.
Isn't this the part of the story where he's sort of beaten down?
Oh yeah, like I said, he's at his end. He's just it's the beginning of the story, but again, all that rain, it's mirroring his emotions, and you don't have to say it. It's like you said, he's hunched over. He's trying, he's just trying to make his way through it, and he's almost ignoring it because it's coming down so hard.
Also, I think there's a belief that we bring to it as the audience, where it's like, if that guy is out in that kind of weather, something is up.
Yeah. He doesn't care. He's just moving.
Oh, yeah. What's wrong with him? What's going on? Doesn't he have anywhere to go?
Right.
Yeah.
All these questions enter into your mind.
And up there, that's just pure visual. And that's because, again, comics are visual. It's to get your attention. It's to get your. I mean, is there any purpose of Marv being out in the rain? No, it just looked cool. It just looks cool.
Yeah. Cool. Well, in that, what one of the things the image guys used to say at the very beginning, hey, it doesn't have to make sense. And that's one of the. I absolutely 100% agree with them. It doesn't have to always make complete sense. Yeah. If it looks cool, that's all right. It can look cool, and you can look at it and go, well, these are comic books. They're not real.
Well,
they don't.
I think it's great that it looks cool. I also need it to be consistent. Like if you're gonna do it as a cool effect, and it's not gonna be a character in the story, then it's got to be consistent. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Big fat flakes.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're so thick gives that, he's really going through a blizzard. He's moving, and there's a lot going on there. Without, again, no captions, no dialogue, no anything.
And I think it for the audience, there is a purpose. Like, he's out in that weather for something.
Yeah.
And that's it. So there's also a sort of mystery created. Why is this guy out there in that kind of weather? What is going on?
Yeah.
That's going to make me turn the page.
Exactly. What's going on?
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking for Tiny. Deanna did some really nice snow in Tiny.
On my screen, that's smaller than a postage stamp.
Oh, yeah, that is pretty small. That's a good one. Spider-Man in the rain.
That's cool too, because some of the characters, especially the big city characters, can perch on top of a building.
Yeah,
and you can get that great stuff. Batman does that too. I think Charles Vess is one of the great artists. That conveys weather that way.
Yeah. And by looking at that, usually Spider-Man's a somewhat happy character. You can see the seriousness of.
Yeah,
there's something going on there.
Spider-Man's out in the rain. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not having a good day.
That means Gwen Stacy's been dead again.
Yeah.
Oh no! Hey, this is a great one. David is the Flash says Breyfogel's flood relief cover had a great range. Yeah, absolutely, it sure did.
Which I thought
that's all Breyfogle and the colors.
Yes. Yeah. Here you go. Here's this may be the one we were talking about, isn't it?
No, this is the X-Men.
No, this is X-Men. Yeah, this is X-Men. Yeah.
Look at that.
And of course that's the Beast, and look at him. He's so covered in snow, you almost can't see his blue anymore.
Well, like a German Shepherd would be, or a Chow or something like that. Because he's got all that fur.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Snowblind.
The greatest weather comic ever.
Yeah.
And how you get through a deadline and get ahead on everything else.
I was gonna say this is the deadline story though. Right. It's like, hey, we're really behind. What can we do to cut corners? I know.
But it feels like it feels like the kind of story idea that had been floating around for a while and nobody had the courage to do it. Yeah. And then Byrne comes along and says, "Oh, I'll do it."
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this page actually reminds me of another one. Tom, you might remember this one called Inviso World.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that one?
That was an independent comic, wasn't it?
Yes, it was an independent comic. I can't remember who did it.
It wasn't Matt Fiesel.
No, it wasn't him.
He's the stick boy thing.
Oh shoot, Invisiworld. Anyway, it was hilarious because the whole issue looked just like that, right? It was nothing but word balloons, captions, sound effects. There were all kinds of sound effects. There were even like the little Japanese sound effects, like hurry, 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 stomp, ow. It was hilarious. But yeah, it would have been middle 80s. 85, 86, 87, somewhere along in there. I can't remember who did that, but it was hilarious. Yeah.
And there's no weather here, but in the dialogue, it's important because it's like the rain on my chest is a baptism. I'm born again. I mean, that's one of the more famous Dark Knight images.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
again, you don't see rain in it, but his description, it's using weather to say I'm back and I'm here.
Yeah.
And it just evokes so much.
Yeah.
This is during a grayscale storm.
Yeah. This is a nice one too. With the raindrops, it's even the water is even pooled at the top of his hat here. Yeah.
Also,
the heaviness of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I think I'm on record as saying that Gotham City is a miserable place to live.
I think you are as well.
And so it just seems like it's the weather is like Seattle times 1,000, where it's just rains all the time. It's dark all the time. Oh, look at that.
And it's just there. I mean, it just evokes. There's no movement on anything, but you get the feeling.
No, but it is though. Look at that. So it's got to be windy. Yeah. The wind's got to be blowing to have, I don't know what those things are called, those tassel things. The wind's got to be moving to blow those things off.
But if you notice, his posture is not bent to the wind. So he's still ramrod straight. So that to me tells me how strong he is.
Yeah.
Against the wind that's blowing his superhero scarf.
Yeah, superhero scarf. It's my super scarf.
Yeah.
Whoops. All right, that was it.
That's great.
So
also, I knew Mike would bring a Grendel.
Yeah.
I had to.
So this one here, right?
And there you go.
Deanna is the artist on this. Look at that. She just looks cold.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Her hair's blowing. There's snow all around her. She's both. I mean, when I get cold, that's exactly what I put my hands up like that and try to stay warm, right?
Also, there's nothing better than snow, putting a character in snow to create isolationism or, that you're just all by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
just people know what it is to be that.
You broke up for me, Mike. What'd you say?
Oh, I was just saying people know, people are that cold. People can associate that, a bone cold that just, again, you're wanting your reader to experience that. And so by seeing that, they could, the association's there.
Yeah.
Well, that's true too, because I think different weather has its own body language. So rain, if you're out in the rain, there's body language that's different than if you're out in the snow. Because if you're out in the snow, you're tight, you're holding yourself tighter because you don't want to get any colder.
Mm-hmm.
And with the rain, you're sort of hunched over because you're trying to be a self umbrella, basically, keep the rain off you.
Yeah.
And the wind, you're holding either your hat or you're trying to hold on to something in your arms, or you're fighting the wind.
Yeah. The wind.
And you're even leaning, right? You're leaning against the wind.
Yeah, you're trying to lean forward.
Yeah, especially if you're walking into the wind, you're leaning into it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So do we have the equivalent of hot weather?
I don't have a visual for it, but you can see the desert. Well, you were talking about it before with the cactus.
Yeah.
And the large expanse of flat, sandy, brightly lit sunshine, heat. And also the artist or the colorist will add those little heat lines off in the horizon.
Yeah.
That'll get you
And those are a lot
Or
easier
sweat,
to do.
somebody's patting their head.
Sweat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweat. Yeah. You can see sweat, usually coming down the side, right? Especially right where your hairline meets your.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those heat lines are a whole lot easier, I think, to do today than they probably were 40 years ago, because coloring couldn't really do that. And today, these skilled artists can really make that look like kind of blurry there,
Yeah. Also, I think, and the coloring has definitely advanced to the point where you can do it. You don't need the black line necessarily anymore. You can just.
Well, one of the things, Roberta's not here, so I'm going to speak for her. One of the things I love to see Roberta doing when she colors live on our streams is she'll take those lines a lot of times and she'll color hold them, and we've seen her do it live. She just take those things and just, color holds them right out. And then you look at them and you're like, the line's still there, but it's got color and it just helps it.
And a color hold used to be like a horrible fancy process.
Yes, it did. Yeah. And I remember when at Malibu, when we figured that out, or I don't remember exactly when, but I remember once it kind of filtered over to us that we can ask for those things. We can.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, well, prototype needs to always blast in color holds, right?
Yeah. Because if you're doing that kind of those kinds of sonic or hand blasts or whatever, the black line seems to be irrelevant because it's all energy, it's all power, it's all fire, it's all whatever, and so it's better that way.
Yeah.
Or it's same thing with the flash of a gun muzzle. You don't need the lines.
Yeah. And I love it that Roberta can just take that and figure it out because she's so skilled. She can say, "Oh, we don't need this. This is I don't need this black line. This is now color."
Well, to me that's one of the great things about comics is that if you're a writer and you write the script and you give it to the artist, and the artist says, "Oh, I know what I can do," and then they raise it up, and then you give it to when it's done, and you give it to the colorist, and the colorist goes, "Oh, I know what I can do."
Right.
And so you're not necessarily telling them, but you're giving them a playing field where they can sort of take the thing that you've written and bump it up.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely
what I love about comics. I love to see the steps where everybody sort of pushes it up.
Yeah. And that's the collaborative process that I absolutely love as well. David is the Flash says Blueberry by Moebius does great hot weather.
Oh, Moebius, yes. Yes.
And he says usually in the squint.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also in Moebius' science fiction stuff where he's creating entire worlds and you see he uses color and his art to convey weather or heat or, not necessarily weather, but maybe the lack of weather where you understand it's a desolate planet or it's a desolate desert or whatever. Yeah. He's great at that. Mr. David is the Flash is correct.
Yes, he is. Yeah. What about anybody else in the chat? Anybody else have any examples you can think of? Cold weather, hot weather, raining weather, snow weather in comics that really stood out to you? What else? I think for me, a lot of it is a sweat, right? You see the sweat running down the side of somebody's face, or like Mike said, on their brow.
Well, what's funny is that in the old EC comics, characters would sweat because they were like nervous killers, or
right? Whatever. Yeah.
So all this stuff would sort of drip down as they got anxious about killing somebody or whatever.
But that's a great visual.
It is a great visual. It's sort of changed over time where you don't have that sort of agony associated with sweat. Now it's more of a weather issue than it is an anxiety issue.
Yeah. So here's a question, and I'll be curious to hear what you guys have to say. Should you, as the writer, then work something into your script? Should your character say something like, "Man, it's really hot out here"?
Well, that's the personal thing. You've got things in the visual, but you could do a sentence, saying, boy, my shirt's sticking to me. It's blasted hot here, or I'm going to need a shower. Some smart alecky comment about just the weather. You can complain about the weather, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think again, my thing is always consistency. So am I doing that throughout the script? Is that part of my thing? Or is it because if you're just doing it once, then it feels like a weakness. It's like I don't trust my artist to be able to convey it, or I don't trust my reader to be able to understand it. So I got to really nail this down. I got to hit this on the head really hard in this one scene. Or is it like a thing that I'm doing with the weather the whole time, because now that's going to play an important part?
Yeah.
Well, it's like some of those westerns, when they didn't have rain, everything was parched. They were hoping for some Indian to do a rain dance to come save them. I mean, so the actual story was the drought. The story was the heat. The story was hoping by the end of the, some kind of relief's going to come and save the crops and save something. That would be the only kind of instance where the weather is the story.
Because also, and there's a thing with heat too, which is nobody wants to move.
Right.
Like if you're in like real hot desert heat, you're not out and about.
No.
You can go out in the rain, because we saw characters do that in the pictures. You can go out in the snow, because we saw Marv do that in Sin City. But in the desert, you're not going to want to go out and be moving fast.
No. No. Yeah. So I'm a little mixed on whether the character should say it. I think you have an opportunity for your omniscient narrator to say it at the start of a scene. I don't think your omniscient narrator needs to drop in the middle of a scene and go, "Oh, and by the way, it was hot," right?
Well, I'll go one better.
Okay.
I would not. Maybe I wouldn't put it in. I would wait, because the way comics work now, you could wait till the art's done.
Yes.
And you can wait till the coloring's done.
Yeah.
And you can see, maybe you want to tweak the art a little bit. Maybe you want to tweak the coloring a little bit more to sort of make that point.
Right.
And then as your fail safe, you could always, stick it back in.
True.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I think that's part of what it is. I think part of it comes to, is it really important that the reader know that it's that cold?
Right.
They can see the snow. Okay, that's cold. If there's no snow and it's just cold, you look at the art, I don't know if they can tell if it's cold or not. I mean, yeah, he's got a code and he's doing that, but is that clear enough for the reader? My question is I'm not sure.
You could also cheat. You don't have to have a caption that's glaringly obvious, like, "Oh, baby, it's cold outside." You could just put a caption that says 32 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yes. Yeah.
And just be that. And so I think they're clever ways that you can cheat it.
Yes. Here, another good way, because I down south, small towns, the banks out front always have time of day and temperature.
Yes, they do. You can put a bank in there.
You can put a bank in there and work that into the background.
Yeah. So that way you're not necessarily calling it out, but it's there. Everybody can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't do like a TV show would just sort of zoom in and then focus right in on the temperature. That would be really obnoxious. But just put it in the background.
No, I do think, though, I do think often it's better to have your characters have a conversation about it, drop it into the dialogue.
Man, I hate it when it's hot like this.
Right, exactly.
Super sticks to me.
Something that's more natural than to have your omniscient narrator say, "Oh, and it's really cold."
It's especially so if you have two characters and they're like an odd couple, then you would have one character who would be like the complainer, sort of, who would be bitching about the weather,
right?
Just like they would bitch about the food, just like they would complain about everything.
Yes,
and it would just be one more thing, and that's a good way to drop exposition without, being super obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's a good way to build character, right? Or reinforce the character in kind of a natural way. Because if the three of us were together and we stepped outside and it was really cold, one of us would say something, right?
Right here. It'd be like an automatic thing. It would just blurt right out.
And then Mike would just say, "Go ahead."
I'd be holding you guys back, saying, "No, this is for me. I got this, guys." Let me just complain about the weather and get that right out of the way.
And then Mike was there.
Is this trip really necessary?
Right. Yeah, we could be indoors.
We can be indoors. We're warm.
I got food. I got drinks. I got TV. And I don't need comics. I don't need to be here.
Weather's for the birds.
David is the Flash says that Texas Blood uses an ice storm to create effect. It traps the characters when a serial killer runs rampant. Now I don't know that one.
I don't know that one either. What is that?
I don't know. Yeah.
Is that
David's better read than I am.
Yeah, is that a comic, David? If so, give us a little bit more information because none of us know that one.
That's right.
Batman had to strip down in the heat except the mask.
That's right. He fought Ra's al Ghul in the desert and with swords, and he had to because it was hot. He took off his bat shirt or whatever, but he's still wearing his mask.
Still wearing the mask.
Mask and his spandex underwear.
That's right. God forbid anybody should see my face in the heat.
Yeah. David is Flash says that Texas Blood is an Image book.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that one.
Me neither. So, that's a failure of marketing.
Yeah. All right. So one of the things we went off on a little bit was character and weather and characters. Let's touch on that a little bit. What kind of weather can we think of that are in characters? I'll go first because the easy one is Storm from the X-Men, right?
Right.
David is the Flash says, "I'll send it to you guys for Xmas."
Image appreciation.
You're too kind, David.
All right. So Storm, you say?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, what about all those stupid DC villains like Captain Cold?
Yeah.
And Mr. Freeze.
Weather Wizard.
Yeah, Weather Wizard.
Well,
Weather Wizard sounds like a Harry Potter ripoff.
Yeah.
Well, and Marvel had I want to say Shooter wrote it. I think I can't remember. One of the worst stories ever written with the Weatherman and the Avengers. Y'all remember that one?
The Weatherman.
Oh my gosh, it was so bad.
He didn't even try to disguise it with a cool name.
It was so bad. So bad. Yeah. Well, what about let's see. The Molten Man, right?
Molten Man. Oh yeah, he was made of liquid something or like molten lead or
like lava or something like that.
Wow.
Would he be considered like a weather guy?
No,
not really. I think because it's more of he's protected from the weather.
Right.
Okay.
Because his body
he's more encased in thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, there's Iceman.
Yeah, Thor.
Thor.
Yeah,
that's right. He's the god of thunder, for gosh sakes.
I mean, you got the god of thunder. You got all that lightning and storm, and
which is weird to be the god of thunder and you make lightning.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. David is Flash's name is Thor and Iceman. Yep.
Iceman was also in Top Gun.
That's right. Along with Valkyrie, right?
That's right. And Maverick.
Maverick, yeah. What other weather characters? Well, you know what? It'd be a shame of me to have this whole stream and not mention Tempest of Silverline's own Tempest, right? Who's a wind controller.
Uh-huh.
The wind controller.
Yeah.
Beano does that too.
What does?
Beano. It controls your personal wind.
Oh, okay. I didn't make that jump with you.
There you go. I'll just lay out the jokes for you, and then I'll explain them for you as we go on.
Yeah. Who's the kid that controls? Oh yeah, of course, Willingham's Elementals.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Forgot about that. Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
And how many story devices include some mad scientist who was threatening ransom? He would tear down. He would bring horrible floods and some kind of weather machine. There was how many plot devices where the weather machine was involved. If you don't pay me $1 million,
there's all kinds of crappy 40s and 50s villains who are trying to control the weather with some kind of machine. They didn't have actual weather powers, but they would build some kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to go fight it.
Right.
Oh, there's one. Look at this. Ariel from Strangers.
Oh.
Yes, that's right.
David is
we
well
appreciate
read.
the Ultraverse shout out, David.
We sure do. David is the Flash is well read.
He must have no job.
He has to have a job to read comics. How's he
Well,
gonna afford?
he can have a really
can't
good job
afford
reading
them,
comics.
right?
Yeah, he had a really good job.
So what else? Who else?
That's man. I think there's got to be somebody.
Oh,
There's nobody in Watchmen that has it. The Aquaman, he doesn't control the weather necessarily. He controls the
Oh,
water.
well, of course. That's who this is.
Yeah, you didn't know who that was?
No, I didn't know that's who that was.
Man, I knew.
Yeah.
That's Ace.
I you know what? Must have been I'm guessing you're on YouTube because you're usually on Facebook and you didn't we not on Facebook for some reason.
Yeah.
Thank you, David, for hunting us out on YouTube. Yeah. I should have known that. Yeah.
There's Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah. So can Santa control weather at all?
There's the Winter Warlock.
Jack Frost.
Jack Frost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the good weather characters. Those are better than Captain Cold and Mr. Icebox or whatever the stupid DC villains are.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of the DC villains were stupid.
the Rogues Gallery.
Oh, yeah. But man, that weatherman, I'll just look that up for you. You guys have to see that. Even the cover was bad. It was like 212. Avengers. So I typed the Weatherman Avengers into my Google, and Weathermen came up, which I've never heard of. Right?
No. Are they guys in suits with pointers and they got a giant map of the Earth behind them?
Maybe.
Tomorrow's forecast calls for the death of Metropolis.
You got the Weather Girls Rain Men.
That's right. That's right. Those a disco classic.
There you go. Oh, see it yet? Hey. The Wrath of the Weatherman. The beast is frozen, and Thor looks like he's been zapped by thunder. I'm not really sure what's happening to Cap. What's happening to Cap? Is that like a heat wave?
Well, we sort of forgot the most important plot point in Marvel history is the freezing of Captain America.
Oh yeah.
He was frozen at the end at the end of the Golden Age and unthawed by Lee and Kirby in Captain America. What is it, 100?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that the weather, or I guess you could say the weather, played a really important part in Marvel history.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. Sorry, I got stuck on that.
Are you lost?
No, I got stuck on the terrible weatherman thing.
Is it a shooter story?
He said,
I'm trying to get that. I'm getting too many of these stupid little pop-ups.
You're on some sort of spammy site.
Well, I'm on marvelfandom.com is what I'm on.
Is that the official Marvel? That's not the official Marvel thing, though.
No, the writer was Bill Mantlo.
Oh.
The penciler was Gene Colan, inker Dan Green, colorist was Ben Shawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, huh.
I know.
Well, you owe Shooter an apology now.
I do, don't I? I do.
Yes,
I absolutely do.
And he's tall enough. You're going to need 2 apologies.
Let's see. He didn't even write the issue before that. I know he wrote a bunch of issues around then.
You're just a Shooter hater.
No, not me. I actually like Shooter. I think he gets too much grief Anyway, David says Heat Miser.
That's right.
Yeah. Agent Koepp, of course, shows up and says, "Am I too late?"
No. Name a weather hero that we haven't mentioned yet.
That's right. Oops. So, get out of there.
Celsius of the Doom Patrol, of the 70s Doom Patrol.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
That's pulling one out of thin air. That's a deep cut.
Yeah, that's a deep cut.
So if Iceman is, if we consider Iceman one of them, then wouldn't the Human Torch be one?
Well, they'd be the opposites.
Well, yeah, but
I'd like to see them share an apartment in Manhattan. See how they get along. That'd be my sitcom pitch.
Agent Koepp said, "You mentioned Storm from the X-Men. That was the very first one we mentioned." Agent Koepp.
Now he's late.
Yeah.
I would consider the Human Torch a weather person, not because he controls the weather, but basically he's a walking forest fire.
Yeah. So I think so too. Yeah, I think I would consider him the weather as well.
If someone wants to fight me in the comments, come on.
What about Tara? She was more land, wasn't she?
Yeah, it was Earth. She controlled the matter.
Yeah, she was like the Earthbenders in Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Agent, we did mention Thor. Ben Sullivan, what's up, Ben? Thanks for hanging out with us. He says heavy weather from JoJo Book 6. Pretty obscure. Hey, fellas.
That might be a super that'd be a super deep cut, but heavy weather is a great name for a character.
It is, yeah.
Heavy weather.
Yeah, I would say it is pretty obscure. That's a great call out there, Ben.
I would put that up there with like Warm Front and Warm Front and Cold Front.
Yeah.
Snowflake.
Oh wait, what about Red Tornado?
Snowflake has very delicate powers, though.
Very.
So what about Red Tornado?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He turned out to be an elemental. That he was actually the wind elemental inside that case. Yeah.
Isn't there? I don't know this, but there has to be a character named Cyclone somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's gonna let that name sit.
I also think Marvel had a Texas Twister, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did he wear a cowboy hat?
I think he did. Yeah.
That's right. Did he make this tornado with twirling a rope really fast?
I don't
that
know.
Sounds like a 70s Marvel hero.
It does. And anytime I think of cowboys and superheroes, I think of how I learned to love the bomb and stop. What was that?
Dr. Strangelove.
Dr.
Strangelove. Yeah.
Slim Pickens riding the nuclear warhead down.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've gone from weather in comics to thermonuclear annihilation. Which is the ultimate weather weapon, by the way.
It is, yeah. Oh man, that movie for me took 2 watchings. I couldn't appreciate it, I don't think, the first time I saw it. I'm like, but the second time I watched it, I hooted and hollered. I absolutely love Peter Sellers, though.
Peter Sellers,
yeah.
I love George C. Scott, General.
Yes,
see the big board. Also the crazy general and his precious bodily fluids.
Yeah. That's a great one. Agent Koepp says, I think Cyclone was part of the Marauders from the X-Men, or was she part of the Mutant Federation? I'll have to take your word for it. Yeah,
we'll give him points.
Yeah.
The judges will allow it.
Yeah, that's right. Crystal from the Inhumans says David is the Flash. So,
all right, I'll go there.
Yeah. I like these obscure ones. Those are fun.
You almost want to see those brought back.
Yes.
In some way, the obscure ones, because there has to be more that you could do with them. You
would think. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any characters from Spider-Man's gallery, Rogue's Gallery, but I can't think of any.
No, because some of them were super cool, but they're not necessarily weather people.
Right.
Yeah.
Electro is electricity, but that's not weather.
Yeah.
Mysterio is just like funny hat.
Yeah. Sandman is
Sandman
sand.
is sand.
He can have a sandstorm, but
he's got beach powers. Green Goblin, no. Dr. Octopus, no.
Vulture, no.
Vulture, no.
Flies, but,
No.
I was thinking there's somebody in the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. I was thinking that somebody was a weather person in that.
Well, so what does Emma Frost do?
Well, she's just a telepath.
Is she? Okay. I mean, she's got a cool name, but I don't remember what she does.
Frost doesn't mean her power, though.
No, it has nothing to do with her.
That is a great name, though. If you wanted to have like an Iceman type character, Emma Frost is a great name.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What about from the movie Black Adam? There was a girl in there that controlled the air. What was her name? I saw the movie, but
I think that was Cyclone. I think Jeff Jones introduced the Cyclone in Justice Society. She was the granddaughter of the original Red Tornado, the Ma Hunkel.
Ma Hunkel. Oh my God! There's another points for another deep cut.
Yeah. Now that he said that, I remember that her name was Cyclone.
Agent Koepp has earned his stripes today.
Yeah.
Sure has.
He may have been late.
But I think I actually also think that was one of the faults of that movie. I enjoyed the movie before you start taking it wrong. But I think that when that movie was done, I'm like, I don't know who that girl was.
Right.
And I didn't even know who the young guy was either. Now I knew who Spectre was, and I mean not Spectre, Dr. Fate and Hawkman.
Right.
But I didn't know who those two young, because I don't remember them saying their names.
Adam Smasher was the guy, and he was Nuklon of Infinity Inc. of the 80s. With the red mohawk, he was related to the Atom, the original Atom.
Okay.
But yeah, they changed his name to Adam Smasher in the late 90s.
All right. Well, that explains because I remember as part of the story, he had a conversation with his uncle or something like that.
What I love is how this is everything to me. Is that Roland says he doesn't remember something, and then Mike is like right there with the whole. Here's the thing. Here's the bio.
Hey, that's useless information that will get me nowhere.
To me, this is exactly what comics is. Bunch of people sitting around a table. Somebody says, "Oh man, I don't remember that," and there's somebody else who's always like, "I got it all right here. I got you covered, brother."
That's right.
True.
Oh well, I've run out of stuff to say about weather. You guys got anything else?
Nah,
I'm cold now.
Yeah, we're out in the cold now.
Yeah.
That's right. Good topic.
Oh, thank you. You know what? I personally like those topics where we get to talk about things that writers should do. How do we communicate this to readers? How important those things are. I enjoy that. I enjoy looking. Go ahead.
I like looking and seeing how other people do things, and then talking about how they got it.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a critical way, like what they did wrong or whatever. I just mean it like I sort of in awe. Like how do they do it? Like the Grendel page that Mike put up or the Frank Miller page. I see stuff in there that I wouldn't have seen years earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm paying attention. I'm doing a deep dive into it where I didn't.
I also like to kind of talk about, does it work or not? Right.
Yeah.
Because then I can think, okay, well, if this is really working, maybe this is something I need to make sure that I'm doing right. As a creator. Or if it's not working, then make sure I don't do that.
Yeah. Cause I like to see how people solve problems, and I like to see how people get to where they're going.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely
that's far more interesting than telling me, oh, don't write about the weather, or don't use captions, or don't whatever. It's like no, it's
because trust me, if you tell Tom not to write about the weather, guess what he's going to go write about?
I'm going to smack that weather hard.
Agent Koepp says, Tom, was the weather the reason you moved to Canada?
Only if you're speaking in code and weather means healthcare.
Yeah. Okay then. Tuesday. That Silverline show on Tuesday, creating unique family dynamics in comics. The gang discusses how you can make comics that focus on the theme of a family in a way that is engaging for readers. That is on Tuesday. Wednesday, the Wednesday Whammers are going to be talking about December delights behind the panels. Reflect with us on our journey from last December to this December. We'll share highlights, lessons learned, and celebrate how far we've come in the world of comics.
Ooh,
so
cool.
That sounds fun.
That sounds like a drinking game.
Yeah.
And next week, we will return and we're going to talk about support characters. What kind of support staff does your protagonist need to surround them? Is the guy in the chair really necessary?
Yes.
So that's next week, not tonight.
It's okay. I'm gonna start though. I think if you have a loner character, they gotta have somebody to talk to, because otherwise the inner monologue is gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And perfect example of that. Wife and I have been watching. The Tracker. Y'all seen that at all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really good. He's a loner character, right? But he's got a support staff that help him out, and he's always on the phone with them. So
also because he needs information sometimes, and that can only be given to him by the woman in the chair.
Yep.
And so I think that's, and also he occasionally needs a person to run interference for him.
Right.
And if if he's out in the woods, then he's got to have a lawyer, and he's got to have the person in the chair.
Yep.
And also it's boring in TV to have just one character on screen all the time. You got to cut back and forth to other people.
Yep. All right, that's next week, not this week. So
all right, I'm done though. I did next week's show off for you.
All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out with us. Thank you, chat, for chiming in. We always love to hear what you have to say. And until next week, remember to
Make
mine Silverline. Good night, everyone.
Hi, I'm Greg Horn. Make mine Silverline.